Hi everyone, welcome to Slice of Life. My name is Dabney. I'm the young adult librarian at the Twin Lakes Library System and I use they, them pronouns. For today's episode, we are picking back up on the manga series You Can Binge, highlighting different manga from our young adult collection. And today I am going to be focusing on Boys Love Manga. So this is manga known as Shonen Ai in Japan, which is boys love. It's about boys who love boys. And next week we're going to do not next week, the next time I'm doing Slice of Life, I'll do a Girls Love series because we have a lot of those in our collection as well. And so yeah, I have 8 volumes to tell you about today, so get excited. These are all, from the teen collection, so they're all rated teen or older teen. So here we go. Excited. So you've got Sasaki and Miyano, which I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correct. This is a brand new volume in our collection. It's just been published, I think, last month. So it's brand new to the United States. This is the first volume. And on Goodreads, it looks like there's already 8 volumes out in Japan, which is exciting. This is also the smallest volume, like physically very small. So I read this one last night. I thought it was super cute and really appropriate because it's Miyano. He is like an underclassman in high school, an all-boys school, and he has come to really love reading BL manga, but it's kind of like a secret, I think like his friends and like some people know he reads this, but most people, like, he's not shouting it from the rooftops. He becomes friends with an upperclassman, Sasaki. So what happened is Miyano witnesses like somebody getting beaten up by bullies, and he like calls for help, and Sasaki shows up and kind of like breaks up the fight. Well, Miyano's like, oh, this guy's cool, and then meanwhile Sasaki is like, oh my gosh, who is that like super cute guy? And like he's kind of having not exactly a crisis, but he's kind of realizing like, I think this guy is really cute and this has never happened to me before. And he, immediately seeks out Miyano and like wants to get to know him and hang out with him. And he ends up like asking him about the manga he's reading. And then Miyano's like, oh, well, you can borrow it. And it's a BL manga. So like they're both reading. So like Miyano's like recommending BL series to Sasaki, who's like reading him, and then they get together and talk about it, and it's like really super cute. So yeah, as far as like plot line, this is the first volume, so this is just about them like getting to know each other and becoming friends and hanging out, and kind of this volume at least is about Sasaki realizing like he's got feelings for Miyano and trying to figure out like what to do with that. Okay, then we have That Blue Sky Feeling. And this one, by the way, is rated for teens. This one's also rated for teens. This is a 3-volume series. And so let's see. I'll just read you the summary really quick. When Noshiro transfers to a new school, he meets Sanada, a loner who doesn't seem to have any friends or want any. The other kids whisper that Sanada keeps to himself because he's secretly gay. But rather than scare Noshiro away, the rumor only makes him more interested. He sets out on a campaign to win over the surly Sanada, embarking on a surprising friendship. So, this one, it's been like, maybe a year or more, maybe 2 years since I read this series, so my memory's like not that clear. But I do like it because, even though like this is Noshiro, even though he doesn't always get things right when he's talking to Sanada, he's like genuinely interested in getting to know him, and like, sometimes his questions are like, to me, they're like a little bit intrusive, and Sonata's kind of like, you can't just ask people these things. So, I thought it was like a pretty realistic, like friendship and the way their friendship develops and the things they talk about. It felt like very, very real. And I also kind of like we've got a character who's not like the standard, you know, manga protagonist, like super slim, super pretty, all that. So that's cool to read. Um, I will say there's one thing that just to be aware of is that like Sonata has dated much older people than himself, like somebody who's you know in their like mid to late 20s and he's in high school. So if that is going to be a problem for you, just be aware. Like they're not dating in the story, but he does talk about like his ex, and you do get to meet his ex, who becomes kind of like a side character in the story. But anyways, yeah, this one was kind of like pretty light-hearted, but at the same time dealing with like realistic issues. Um, Classmates. This is 3 volumes. And this is about, oh gosh, my pronunciation has just gone out the window. Hiraku and Rihito. I'm really hoping I'm saying that right. So they're classmates, obviously, in high school. And they meet and become friends. And then, over time, they're getting to know each other more, spending more time with each other, and it's like kind of this like mutual attraction, and they're like really awkward about it, and like how do we talk about our feelings, start dating. So it's like really just about them kind of moving through high school and like moving through this kind of like first love romance with each other. And this is also rated teen, and they ended up doing a like a short animated movie about them as well, which I haven't watched yet, but it's like it says on the front, a boy meets a boy and falls in love for the first time. It felt like a dream and tasted like sparkling water. So yeah, it's like pretty poetic and fun. There is also, I'll just mention as well, kind of a creepy teacher in here who you're like, stop being creepy. Teacher, adults, stop being creepy. Okay. Completely different altogether. We've got number 6. There are 9 volumes in this. This is rated for teens. So I'll just read you the back. For Shion, an elite student in the computerized metropolis known as Number 6, life is choreographed to the minute. So when a storm descends, he opens the window to soak in a rare moment of chaos, only to find an injured boy desperate for shelter. But Shion's compassion shatters his perfect life when the boy turns out to be a fugitive on the run from the mysterious powers that rule the city. So this is kind of like a sci-fi dystopia type story, and I'll be honest, I haven't finished it yet, which is I think I'm just like too invested that I just haven't. Sometimes I start things and I'm like, I don't want them to end, so I don't finish them. And this is one of those, but I will finish it. Like, it's only 9 volumes. I can do it. So you've got Shion, and the boy he meets is Nezumi, which means rat. And so like Shion's been living like kind of in this utopia, like perfect existence. And when he meets Nezumi, he comes to realize like Nezumi's from like outside the city, and Shion gets like tangled up in him and has to like end up leaving the city to like the outskirts where things are like really, really terrible. People are living in like horrible conditions, and he starts learning like all these truths about the city he lives in, and just uncovering like really terrible things that have happened. So this one is definitely it's, these other ones I talked about, they're more focused on like kind of romance, slice of life type stories, like high school, whatever. This is definitely the romance is very like low key and very slow burn. So it's really more about this like dystopian plot, but like with boys love romance in it. So yeah, I really really enjoyed it. I think it's cool, and now that I'm talking about it, I'm gonna like probably finish this month. That's gonna be my March goal. Finish number 6. I'm really worried. I hope it doesn't end tragically. I think that's why I've been kind of putting it off a little bit, but I'm gonna do it. Okay, next up, this is my favorite from the stack I'm talking about today. This is Our Dreams at Dusk. There are 4 volumes. This is rated for teens, and this one is not even, I kind of wouldn't even classify it as boys love, because it really covers like people from the entire like LGBTQ spectrum. It's like really incredible, unlike anything I've read like manga wise, because while the main character does like boys and is kind of like awakening to like these feelings to try to figure out like what that means, he ends up meeting all these people. So he ends up going to like this kind of after school hangout place. I think it's called like the Cat Club. I can't remember, but it's like this sort of like community center for like LGBTQ people, and it's not really publicized that way. It's kind of like the people who need it just sort of find it, and so there he meets people who are trans, people who are lesbians or asexual, aromantic, other kids who are like kind of questioning and figuring out what, who they are, that sort of thing. And so there, he gets to meet like this really supportive community, and he can ask questions and learn about like other people's experiences. So while he is the main character, some of the storylines do kind of like shoot off and follow like what the other characters he meets are going through. And it's just like the art is some of my favorite, and it's really one of the ones that has like the most realistic, to me, depiction of like what it means to be queer in like a society that's not always accepting of you. And like with him, he's kind of like, he's not out to really anyone at school or at home, and so sometimes he gets put in like these difficult situations where he's like, how should he respond to things. And so yeah, I just felt like it was really good, really realistic, and gives me like all the feels. Like this is one that I could read again and again, and probably gonna buy someday because that's how much I think of it. It's really great. And like there's an aromantic, asexual character who's also kind of like, their gender is kind of like ambiguous, the way they present themselves, and they're kind of like this really interesting character. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe I'm reading this in a manga. So yes, this one's great. And this one is kind of like the one that I wanted to use as like my like break point manga, because like all these other ones have been about like high schoolers, and now we're gonna talk about ones that are about older characters. So I Hear the Sunspot is about characters who are in college. So I'll just read you the summary on this one. Because of a hearing disability, Kohei is often misunderstood by others and has trouble integrating into life on campus, so he learns to keep his distance. That is, until he meets the outspoken and cheerful Tachi. He tells Kohei that his hearing loss is not his fault. Hachi's words cut through Kohei's usual defense mechanisms like a knife and open his heart. More than friends, less than lovers, the relationship changes Kohei forever. There's currently like 4 volumes in this. There's, I believe, another volume coming out like this spring. So yeah, this one I also like because you do have a character who is hard of hearing. That's another thing you don't encounter too much in manga. So as it said, like, you know, their relationship is definitely, you know, they start out as like friends. It's very slow burn, and it's about kind of like, you know, their feelings like awakening and them trying to figure out like how to deal with this and how to move forward. And since they're in college and they're kind of like, you know, at this point of their lives where they're like trying to figure out like what to do next as far as careers and, you know, life paths, and them trying to like talk about that and be in a relationship, and, you know, so it's kind of about themes that are a little bit different than, you know, what people in high school are experiencing, but I think still relatable, that like uncertainty, when things in your life are starting to change and you're, you know, still trying to figure out like who you are. But it's like a really sweet story, and I believe this one is rated. There's not a rating on here, but it's like pretty much teen content, honestly. And this is one that I own because like I really love the story a lot. So yeah, I Hear the Sunspot. Our Dining Table. This is a one-shot, so that means it's a single volume. There's not a series. This is rated for teens. So the summary is, eating around other people is a struggle for salaryman Yutaka, despite his talent for cooking. All that changes when he meets Minoru and Tane, 2 brothers, many years apart in age, who ask him to teach them how to make his delicious food. It's not long before Yutaka finds himself falling hard for the meals they share together and falling in love. So, you know, Yutaka is, he's like out of college, he has a job, but he's still like, I think, early 20s. And Minoru, I believe, is in college still. So again, we've got like slightly older characters, but, you know, it's rated for teen, and it's just like a really lovely story that's kind of, you know, it's about them meeting and becoming friends and falling in love, but it's also about family and, you know, specifically like Minoru's family kind of dealing with, I believe, like the loss of his mother, and kind of like how that changed them and changed their family, and changed the way that they feel about, you know, relationships and love. And so yeah, there is like other stuff going on in here that's pretty deep and realistic, and I love all the cooking as well. I don't know if there's any recipes in this one. Sometimes some of the manga will have like recipes, and you know, since like the little brother is in this a lot, you know, it's just cute. There's just lots of family bonding, and I don't know. This is just like kind of a really good, like, feel good story. Like, you know, it's 1 volume, so you just pick it up, read it, and feel the happy feels. Last of all, we have Gravitation. I believe this is like a 12 volume series. It's for older teens, so this is, out of all of them, yeah, this is the only one that was older teens. It's also like an older manga series. Sorry, I'm trying to look. Okay, so this was first published in Japan in 1996. So if you like read through here and you're like, what is with this like art style, it's from like the 90s, and it's yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm kind of flipping through here, and it sort of reminds me of when I read Banana Fish. Yeah, the main character is like the lead singer in a band that's kind of like up and coming, and then he meets this guy who's a romance novelist, and they have like it's like the opposite of a meet cute. Like the first time they meet, he's like all really dismissive of him and like really rude, and of course this guy's all like, "Oh, I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna write like the best song lyrics and impress this snobby guy," and gets kind of like obsessed with him. So I read this series a very long time ago, probably like 10 years ago, and so I can't remember very much of it. It does deal with like some darker themes. Like there is, I think in the first volume, the main character is like sexually assaulted. And like that was like really, I remember reading that and being like really upset and like kind of wondering if that was going to become a bigger part of the plot, and it kind of didn't become a bigger part of the plot. Like it's just kind of dealt with and then everyone just moves on. So anyways, this isn't exactly my favorite, but like if you want to read an older style manga, um yeah, I did see like a review of it saying that it like kind of goes between like angst and comedy, and that's very true. There is like a lot of angst and a lot of kind of like off the wall comedy, especially with like the main character and all of his antics he gets up to as he's like becoming more and more popular as a musician and doing wilder and wilder things to kind of like keep you know this guy's attention. And like yeah, they do fall in love and stay together. It's just like their relationship has like all these like ups and downs all the time. I'm just like, what is happening? But yeah, this was kind of like one of the first like kind of really popular BL titles, so I thought I would mention that one. We do have like a handful of pretty older manga titles in our collection. But yeah, those are my recommendations. Good stuff, and we'll talk about Girls Love next week. I hope y'all are having a good week, and talk to y'all next time. Bye.